Hello, everybody. Kristina Wolf here, and this is another episode of Energy Mastery, creating systems that support your best life. And today with us, we have Jen Blumenthal. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hello. Thanks for having me, Kristina. I'm excited to be here with you. And my name's Jen Blumenthal. I am the spirit guide and creator of Seduction of Soul Studio. And you know, the magic I bring to the world is helping women trust their intuition and kind of letting go of all of that stuff that we hold on to find their authentic selves so we can share all of our sacred medicine in the world. It's important.
That sounds awesome, actually. I like that term, sacred medicine.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit how you accomplish all of this.
So the big thing is that, you know, we are intuitive by nature, but intuition whispers a lot of times. It's not always that clear. So one thing is really finding out how your intuition speaks to you and where it comes from and what it feels like and what it sounds like. And so we do a lot of that work. But then the other thing is that we hold so much stuff in our bodies, so much emotion, so much fear, old experiences, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about the open loops. But we have to clear all of that out. You need to be a clear channel in order for your intuition to come in and speak clearly. And so when you can clear the channels and when you really understand your intuition, you can really be yourself. You can find that authentic version of yourself. And so then I call it sharing your sacred medicine, because what you're meant to do here in the world, then it comes to you. And you start feeling like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I really feel pulled to. That's your sacred medicine. You share it in the world in the way that's, you're meant to share it. And
it kind of, you may have to excavate it a little bit, dig through a little bit of that debris, the trauma or self-sabotage. So we're basically talking about mastering your energy for entrepreneurs, and most entrepreneurs do have that pull to present their sacred medicine to the world.
Absolutely.
But then life happens, or your history, your story you tell yourself happens, and you're operating in these self-sabotaging habits. You're most of the time not even aware of it. So how do you get to the point where you focus on what it is that's causing you these hang-ups?
Actually, your intuition guides you there. Because like you said, as entrepreneurs, we're really pulled to share what we know and what we have learned and what we feel drawn to. And when you find yourself having block after block after block of that, and you just kind of can't get any traction, you start to go, what's happening here? And what do I need to do to get beyond this? And how can I have somebody help me with this? And who can explain this? And so then, that's when you start reaching out for that kind of assistance, and, you start learning that that's what's holding you back, and you start breaking through those things. And then your sacred medicine becomes more obvious and more clear, and your desire to move forward with it becomes stronger. And so you move forward in that way.
Do you feel that maybe I always hear the phrase, your mess becomes your message. So like all the things that you struggle with or whatnot could be your intuition saying, this, pay attention here. This is what we are bringing to you for a reason. So how do you narrow it down? Like, what ways do you help people tune into their intuition?
So I have so many things to say. I'm like, I don't know where to start. But so there are feelings that you get in your body, for one thing, that is clear indication of your intuition speaking. So we talk about that. And everybody is a little bit different. So a lot of times it's from, your low abdomen, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat. Those areas tend to be really talkative, like I call it. And that will be where you feel things. The other thing is, you can listen to the little tiny voice in the back of your head. A lot of times it will speak to you, but it's so quiet and subtle that you really have to tune in. So those are two ways that you can do it. And then it's really the urges that you get over and over and over, being pulled in a direction, pulled and pulled and pulled. It's not like you're pushing. It's like you're being called and drawn over and over and over. And so we look at that as, you know, your intuition talking to you.
That's really good. Tell me, you mentioned closing open loops. What is that?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So that's one of the things. It's kind of a self-sabotaging mechanism that we have. And it's human nature. So it's not that anybody has a flaw or that we do these things to ourselves on purpose. It's just kind of human nature. And especially with the way we are today in society, we get so busy and so much to do, and our to-do list gets so big. So open loops are about, you know, starting things and not finishing them and putting them to the side and keeping them on your plate. And what happens when you do that is you create an open loop waiting for that thing to be completed.
Like an energy leak almost? An
energy leak. You could call it a psychic cord to that. You know, you're creating a psychic connection. You're taking up, you know, energy in more than one way. So, for example, if you have like, I used to have MAD, multiple art disorder. And I would go crazy shopping for craft supplies. And so I would have all these crafts, like I would take stuff out and I would start this project, and then I would start this other project, and you just end up with a bunch of started things that are never finished. And so for every one of those, I would have a loop over here and a loop over here and a loop over here. And eventually you don't have any more space. So you don't have any room for things to come in. You start causing yourself confusion and forgetfulness, and you don't really know which direction to go in. So if you start closing those things off, and the way to close them is either you finish them or you give yourself permission to say, I am cutting this off, I am letting this go, this is done. I don't have to finish it. So those are two ways you can close those open loops and clear up some energy for yourself.
So I know we talked beforehand about when you have a lot of, for lack of a better term, density or debris, and you're just more triggered, easily triggered by things. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So that kind of links to two different things. So the open loops that you have that we just talked about, starting stuff and not finishing it. It's also, you know, the emotional experiences that we have in our lives. When you have a very strong experience, so a lot of times it's a bad experience with something, and it can be something small, it can be something big. Or if you've had, you know, relationships that ended, but you haven't quite let go of all the pieces of that. Or, you know, if you're holding on to fear or sadness, or, you know, if you've seen other people's experiences, that used to affect me a lot, being, you know, empathic and highly sensitive, and a lot of people are like that. But our nature is, as humans, is that when you have some sort of a strong emotional experience that is not good, you tend to immediately close your heart. Like you just shut it in order to stop the pain from happening. But once you have experienced even a twinge of that pain and you close your heart, you have trapped it inside your body.
Wow.
So the more you trap in there, and it happens to us all the time just by nature of life and not knowing that you're doing that, we trap all kinds of stuff in our bodies, and it gets stuck inside, and you get more and more clogged up and more full of things, and just your energy just stops moving. You have no momentum.
And I've noticed too in our society, we tend to value the mind more so than feeling, and a lot of people don't live in their body. They live up here. So maybe they're disconnected from all of that's trapped down here, and then they have an incident that triggers them, and they're like, wait, where is this coming from? You know, they're so disconnected that they're not realizing, like, wow, I have all this mess in me, and that may be what's driving some of my behavior now.
Yeah. And then they also go, when they do get triggered, they go back up into their head as an avoidance maneuver to try not to feel that what triggered them again. I mean, it just goes in a vicious cycle. So we have to find ways of letting that go and clearing that out in order to, free our emotional and our energetic receptors up so that energy can flow.
And you have a certain exercise you do, the heart opening exercise.
Ew.
Tell us about that. Is that a way to get into your body and get some debris out?
Want to try it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So just get yourself comfortable. Put your feet on the floor.
Okay.
You should have just closed your eyes for a second.
Okay.
Everybody, please join us.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a deep breath and just kind of get settled in your space. You don't have to do anything special with your breathing. Just kind of let yourself relax. And I want you to think of something that troubles you, some experience you've had, some emotion that you hold on to, something that happened that wasn't so good that you would really like to let go of. So just let yourself think about that. And if you notice, it might start triggering you and you might start feeling some tension. If you really let yourself feel it and go into it, you will feel that in your heart space. But I want you to imagine that your heart has like cellar doors on it. The old cellars to the basement that would fly open and you would go down to the cellar to protect from a tornado, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I want you to visualize. Visualization is a really powerful tool. So visualize those doors opening in front of your heart. And I want you to let that emotion come out and let it take whatever form that it wants. It might look like smoke. It might look like, water. It might look like a tornado coming out. Who knows? It might be, bullets coming out. Who knows? So just let it be what it is. Whatever your mind visualizes, let it be that. And just let it come out. And it might come out quickly, it might come out slowly. But if you just focus on the vision of that coming out, that thing, that emotion, and letting it pour out of your heart, you notice that eventually it kind of stops itself. It goes to a place where it's like, okay, this is done. And you can feel that your body has settled, your emotions have settled, that you don't feel triggered in the moment by that anymore. So, yeah, you can open your eyes. But that's a great, I do that one a lot when I'm being triggered by something. So I go, oh, that's something that's coming up that needs to be let go. So I practice that heart opening exercise. And I just let it come out. And every time it comes out, it looks like something different. So that's...
Yeah, I noticed it was kind of strange. Maybe I'm really blocked up. But once that opened up, I started feeling pressure in my throat. Maybe a different area. So it transferred, I guess, or just sort of once this piece was opened up, you addressed another piece or whatnot. Yeah, but it's such a simple technique. That's great. I'll for sure use that in the future.
Do good.
Yeah. And you can use that pretty much anywhere, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can
any piece. Well, you might not want to do it while you're driving, but
No, but at a stoplight you could do it for a few seconds.
Yeah. And it seems like that would be something once you do it once or twice, you get into a groove, and it's a lot more easier over time.
Yeah.
To recognize a block or whatnot, and then
definitely
to be able to release it over time. Okay, so another exercise you were talking about, or is it more strategy? You talked about aligning with the moon cycle. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of both, strategy and technique. Mm-hmm. So the moon has 8 phases, and it cycles through all of those phases in about 29 and a half days, so roughly a month. And it starts with the new moon, which is totally dark to us, and then it goes to a full moon, and then it goes back to a new moon again. And each of the phases that's in between there has certain energies associated with it. And, you probably have heard before that, the moon controls the tides, so the water, all the bodies of water on Earth. And our bodies are, I forget what it is. It's, we're like 60 or 80% water, some huge amount water. So if it affects those big bodies on the earth as powerfully as it does, certainly it affects us, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And so if you can align with the moon cycle, so you learn what each of the moon cycles represents, the energy that it brings. And if you can kind of pay attention to that and, adjust your life cycle so that on days when the moon energy is really active, you're doing active things. And on days when the moon energy is asking for rest and quiet and inward reflection, that you kind of adjust your activities around that. You harmonize with it and, with this natural cycle. And so your energy flows more easily because then it's flowing in this nice cycle, in this nice pattern. So
literally going with the flow.
Yeah, you're really going with the flow then.
You're
Absolutely.
literally just following a natural routine of things. Yeah.
Yes. So, and it's not hard to do. I mean, it's really just a matter of learning what the moon cycles are about and paying attention to your energy and what activities you're doing and kind of how you're feeling. And you can just kind of adjust as you go. And, it's also, what I love about the moon cycles is it's also good for manifesting. So if you want to call something into your life, if you want to create something in your life, the moon phases are really good for doing the things that you need to do to manifest something in your life.
Like say launching a business, a group program.
Absolutely.
During a time when what's the best time? When the full moon is coming out, or the build up? Or?
So quarter moon to the full moon. So there are 4 primary phases: new moon, quarter, first quarter, full moon, third quarter. So the first quarter to the full moon, as it's getting bigger and fuller, is when you want to launch something.
Nice. Kind of like spring to summer, in other words.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great. And then, because I know a lot of people who are, really intuitive, myself included, get that full moon sensitivity.
Oh yeah.
And if you're full of this energy and you don't know where it's coming from or how to deal with it, what do you say to that? Is it you could do that heart opening exercise again? Like, I'm just feeling this collective, not so much anxiety, but like just sensitivity. Some people react completely different. They're either tired, they're more hyped up, they're more creative.
Exactly.
However they handle it or their body reacts to it.
Yeah.
What sort of things would you recommend for that?
Well, the first thing, is always listening to your body, because your body never lies to you. It always is telling you. So if you can tune in and listen to that, then you'll know what to do with it. So if you're feeling a sensitivity, pay attention to what that is. And, if it's a sensitivity, like you're feeling really creative, then let yourself be creative, because it's asking you for that kind of expression and that release. If it feels uncomfortable, like you're overly emotional, pay attention to that. What is that trying to tell you? Where is it that you need to clear things from your life? And also, once you know the moon cycles, then you can expand that and get into what element, what astrology is the moon in right now. And you can counteract some of that stuff. Like if you're really feeling over emotional and you're in a water sign, you can do an earth activity that's going to counteract all the emotional wateriness.
More balanced.
Yeah, so bringing it into balance. So, yeah.
That's really good, because it requires that you be more in tune. Obviously, there's some people who are doing their whole lives and they're not even aware, like there's a cycle of the moon, and they don't understand, like, of course we hear the jokes about, oh, it's a full moon, everybody's going crazy. But other than that, most people don't form their life or plan their life around the moon cycle, or even natural cycles anyways.
Right.
Maybe the sunset, sunrise, but even then we're so technologically in tune that we work all night, overnight, with lights on and electricity and all that. So definitely it helps you to get in alignment with yourself, for sure.
And use the natural resources to re-energize yourself and balance and harmonize yourself.
And I think it's important to listen to, like you say, listen to your body, because you're maybe pushing to launch something and it's just not working, and you know, just wait until it's the right time. You know, you're more in the flow. In the flow.
Feel what your body is telling you about it. And that also opens up your intuition more when you listen to your body.
Yeah, definitely. It's an art or a practice for sure.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So I know this is really fascinating, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to want to get in touch with you and find out a little bit more. I know you had a free gift that was related to getting in alignment with your moon cycle, and I'm kind of excited to hear about it. Can you tell us more?
Yeah. So I have, it's called The Beginner's Guide to Manifesting with the Moon. And it's a moon calendar for 2017. So it has all of the primary moon phases on the calendar. So new moon, first quarter, full moon, third quarter. It has the Mercury retrograde dates, because Mercury retrograde, as we all know, comes into effect and can mess with us a little bit. So it also has the solstices and the equinoxes and the eclipses. So all on the calendar, so you have a full year view of when all of that stuff's happening. And then there is a guide to what each of those things mean and kind of how you can work with that and what that does for you. And then a worksheet, so that when you want to work through a moon cycle and you want to work on harmonizing or aligning yourself or manifesting something in your life, you've got a worksheet to kind of work through that and keep track of it. And I would love to share that with as many people as possible, because it's so powerful to align with the moon cycles.
All right, I'm super excited to go check that out. So, well, thank you so much for being with us. This is a great talk.
You're welcome.
And everybody, you can check out Jen at her website, jenniferblumenthal.com, and we're going to put the link to the Aligning with Your Moon Cycles free gift to this interview, and we hope to hear more from you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Kristina.
You're welcome, and thanks for listening, everybody. Take care for now. Bye.